The last note hung in the air like incense. Martha held it longer than necessary, eyes closed, chin lifted slightly. When she finally released it, the congregation erupted. Hallelujah! Sing it, sister! That girl can sang! Martha opened her eyes and smiled, the kind of smile that looked humble but tasted like pride. She stepped back from the microphone, but not before catching her reflection in the piano's polished surface. Still got it. After service, people swarmed her like bees to honey. Martha, your voice is a gift from God. You blessed us today, sister. Girl, you need to be on somebody's album. She used to deflect the praise. Used to say things like, to God be the glory, or it's all him, not me. But lately, those words felt like stones in her mouth, heavy, unnecessary. Because deep down, in a place she didn't like to examine too closely, Martha agreed with them. She was gifted. She was the best voice in the choir. She did deserve the spotlight. Martha! Sister Ruth shuffled over, her weathered face bright with joy. Baby, you sang that song like you lived it. God is going to use you mightily. Thank you, Sister Ruth. Martha's smile was practiced, warm but distant. As Sister Ruth walked away, Martha's friend Keisha leaned in with a smirk. Girl, you see Brother Marcus staring at you during your solo? That man is pressed. Martha waved her off. Please, Marcus stares at everybody. Not like that, he don't. Martha glanced across the fellowship hall. Marcus was indeed looking her direction, but she turned away before their eyes could meet. Marcus was fine. Decent job. Nice enough. Loved the Lord. But he wasn't what Martha had prayed for. She wanted someone who matched her level. Someone impressive. Someone who would make people say, of course Martha ended up with him. Marcus, with his off-brand suits and his beat-up Honda, wasn't that someone. Tuesday evening, choir rehearsal. Pastor Williams stood at the front, glasses perched on his nose, looking over the schedule. All right, everyone. This Sunday is Thanksgiving service, and I want to do something different. Martha's ears perked up. Different usually meant a special solo. She'd been rehearsing How Great Thou Art all week, just in case. Martha, Pastor Williams said, and her heart jumped. I'd like you to lead the backup vocals this Sunday. The room went silent. Martha blinked. I'm sorry, what? Backup vocals. Sister Mary will take the lead, and David will handle the male solo. The words landed like slaps. Backup? Mary? David? Pastor, Martha said, forcing her voice to stay level. Don't you think, the congregation is used to hearing me lead. Wouldn't it make more sense? Martha. Pastor Williams's voice was gentle but firm. This isn't about who's most talented. It's about obedience and allowing others to shine. We all have a role to play in the body of Christ. Martha's jaw tightened. Of course, I understand. But she didn't. And the bitterness that sprouted in her chest during that moment would grow roots deeper than she realized. Sunday came. Martha stood in the back row, harmonizing while Mary's thin, wavering voice carried the melody. The woman could barely hold a note, and Martha's teeth were clenched so tight her jaw ached. This is embarrassing. They should have let me lead. When David stepped up for his part, Martha made a choice. A small, petty choice that felt like justice. She sang louder, not enough to be obvious, just enough to overshadow him, just enough to remind everyone who the real talent was. The congregation clapped it when the song ended, but Martha noticed they clapped harder for David than they usually did for her. Something hot and ugly twisted in her stomach. After service, Pastor Williams pulled her aside. Martha, can we talk? She knew that tone. It was the tone adults used when you were in trouble, but they were trying to be diplomatic about it. Sure, Pastor. He led her to a quiet corner of the fellowship hall. Martha, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. How are you feeling about Sunday's arrangement? I'm fine. Are you? She met his eyes. Pastor, you asked me to do backup. I did backup. You did. But your spirit... He paused, searching for words. Your spirit wasn't in backup. It was in competition. The accusation stung because it was true. Martha, he continued, his voice softening, you have an incredible gift. God has anointed your voice, but talent without humility is just noise. And pride, he sighed. Pride will close doors that God is trying to open for you. Martha's throat tightened. She wanted to argue, wanted to defend herself, But something in Pastor William's eyes, something sad and knowing, made her bite her tongue. "I'll pray about it," she said finally. "Please do." As he walked away, Martha felt something stir in her spirit. A small voice, gentle as a whisper. "He's right. You know he's right." But pride is a loud thing, and it drowned out the whisper easily. 3 weeks later, a new face appeared at Wednesday night service. Austin. He slipped into the back row just as worship started, unnoticed by most, but Pastor Williams noticed. He always noticed visitors. After service, he made a beeline for the young man. Martha watched from across the room as they talked. Austin looked plain, button-up shirt that had seen better days, shoes that were clean but worn. He smiled a lot, though, an easy, genuine smile that made his whole face light up. "Martha," Pastor Williams waved her over. "Come meet someone." She plastered on her fellowship smile and walked over. "This is Austin. He just moved here from Cross River, works in community development." "Austin, this is Martha, one of our finest worship leaders." Austin extended his hand. "Nice to meet you." His handshake was firm. His eyes were kind. "Welcome," Martha said automatically. "Your solo today was beautiful," Austin said. "You have a real gift." "Thank you." There was something earnest about the way he said it. Not flattery, not flirtation, just genuine appreciation. Pastor Williams beamed. "Austin, you should join us for Friday game night. Get to know the young adult group." "I'd like that." As Austin walked away to greet someone else, Pastor Williams turned to Martha. His voice dropped low. "That young man has a powerful call on his life." Martha glanced back at Austin, now laughing with some of the older members. "Really? Really? I've been in ministry long enough to recognize it. God's hand is on him." He paused. "You should get to know him." Martha smiled politely, but inside, she'd already dismissed the idea. Austin seemed nice enough, but he wasn't impressive. He didn't command a room, didn't dress like success, didn't have that presence she was looking for. Pastor Williams saw the look on her face. "Martha, don't judge a book by its cover. Some of God's greatest gifts come in the most unexpected packaging." "I'm not judging, Pastor. I'm believing God for someone who's already established, you know?" Pastor Williams studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I understand. I'll pray that God gives you wisdom." Something about the way he said it made Martha's stomach twist, but she shook it off. Over the next few months, Austin became a fixture at the church. He volunteered everywhere, setting up chairs, running sound, helping with youth group. He wasn't flashy about it, didn't draw attention to himself, just quietly served. One evening after choir practice, he approached Martha as she was packing up her music. "Hey, Martha, can I talk to you for a second?" She looked up. "Sure." He seemed nervous, shifting his weight from foot to foot. "I've been praying about this for a while, and I keep feeling like God is saying something. About you." Martha's eyebrows rose. "About me?" "Yeah." He laughed awkwardly. "Look, I know this might sound strange, and I don't want to be that guy who claims God told him to marry someone after 2 months. Wait, what? No, I'm not saying, he took a breath. "I'm just saying I feel like the Lord is leading me to get to know you better, to see if there's something there. Friendship first, obviously, but maybe more." Martha stared at him. "Austin, sweet humble," broke Austin. This was what God had for her. She thought about the prayers she'd prayed, the lists she'd made, the vision board in her room with pictures of the kind of man she wanted. Successful, polished, impressive. Austin was none of those things. "Austin," she said carefully, "I think you're a really great guy, but I don't think we're on the same page. You understand?" His face fell slightly, but he nodded. Yeah, I understand. I'm believing God for something different." "Something better, you mean?" The words hung between them. "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." His voice wasn't angry, just sad. "It's okay, Martha. I hope you find what you're looking for." He walked away, and Martha felt a strange pang in her chest, but she pushed it down. She'd done the right thing. She'd been honest. Better to cut it off now than waste both their time. 6 months later, everything changed. His name was Tony. He showed up one Sunday driving a black Mercedes, wearing a tailored suit that probably cost more than Martha's monthly rent. The whole church noticed. He was confident, charming, successful, owned his own import business, he said. And when he looked at Martha during her solo, his attention felt like sunlight. After service, he made his way to her. "That was incredible," he said, smile bright and perfect. "You sing like an angel." Martha's cheeks warmed. "Thank you. I'm Tony, just visiting today, but I have to say, this might be the best worship experience I've had in years. Mostly thanks to you." They talked for 20 minutes. He was funny, well-traveled, and when he asked for her number, Martha gave it without hesitation. This was what she'd been waiting for. Over the next few weeks, Tony swept her off her feet. Fancy dinners, expensive gifts, late-night phone calls that lasted for hours. Martha's friends gushed, "Girl, you finally got your Boaz." Her mother was less enthusiastic. "Martha, what do you really know about this man?" "Mom, he's successful, he loves God, he treats me well. What more do I need to know?" "Have you prayed about him?" "Of course I have." But she hadn't, not really, because deep down, Martha was afraid of what God might say. Meanwhile, Austin had quietly left the church, not in anger, not in drama. He just moved to a different branch across town. Martha barely noticed. She was too busy falling in love, or what she thought was love. But cracks started showing. Tony missed services. "Babe, I have a business call, you understand." He never prayed with her. "I'm more of a private prayer person." He borrowed money, small amounts at first, then larger. "Just until this deal closes." Martha's friends started pulling away. "We never see you anymore. It's like he's all you care about." Even Keisha, who had been excited at first, grew concerned. "Martha, something feels off about him. Have you met his family, his friends? Where does he even go to church normally?" "You're just jealous," Martha snapped. The words came out harsher than she intended, but she didn't take them back. She couldn't, because if she admitted her friends were right, she'd have to admit she'd been wrong, and Martha had never been good at being wrong. The truth came out on a random Tuesday afternoon. Martha had stopped up by Tony's apartment unannounced, hoping to surprise him with lunch. But when she knocked, a woman answered the door. Young, pretty, pregnant. "Can I help you?" the woman asked. Martha's mouth went dry. I'm looking for Tony." "Tony?" the woman called over her shoulder. "Some girl is here for you." Tony appeared, and the color drained from his face. "Martha, who is she?" Martha's voice cracked. The pregnant woman looked between them, confusion turning to realization. "Oh my God, you're the one he's been borrowing money from." Everything tilted. "Borrowing what?" The woman's face hardened. "Let me guess. Business investments? A deal that's about to close? My brother's been running that scam for 2 years." "Brother," the word barely registered. "Martha, I can explain," but she was already backing away, vision blurring with tears. She ran. That night, Martha lay on her bedroom floor, staring at the ceiling. Empty, completely empty. She'd lost thousands of dollars, lost her dignity, lost friendships she'd pushed away, and for what? For a man who saw her as a mark. Her phone buzzed, a text from Keisha. "I heard what happened. I'm here if you need me." Martha didn't respond. She didn't deserve Keisha's kindness. She'd been so sure she knew better, so sure her way was right, so sure God's whispers were just her settling for less. Her eyes drifted to her Bible on the nightstand, dusty, unopened. When was the last time she'd actually sought God's voice, really listened? She reached for it with trembling hands and opened randomly. Proverbs 16:18. "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." The words punched her in the chest. Martha wept, not pretty tears, ugly gasping sobs that shook her whole body. "God," she choked out, "I'm so sorry. I thought I knew better than you. I thought I deserved more than what you offered. And now I have nothing." The room was silent except for her crying. But in that silence, something shifted. Not a voice, not a vision, just a presence. Gentle, patient, waiting. Martha pressed her face to the carpet. "Please forgive me. Please help me." 2 years later. Martha stood in the church kitchen, elbow deep in dishwater, helping clean up after the community dinner. She didn't lead worship anymore. She'd stepped down, asked to serve in other ways. The stage didn't call to her like it used to. She'd learned something in her brokenness. True worship wasn't about performance. It was about surrender. "Martha?" A familiar voice made her look up. Austin stood in the doorway, holding a stack of plates. Her heart jumped. She hadn't seen him since everything. "Austin, hi." "Hi," he smiled, that same genuine smile. "I didn't know you were back at this branch." "Yeah, about 6 months now." He set the plates down and started helping her wash. They worked in comfortable silence for a moment. "I heard about what happened," Austin said quietly. "With that guy, I'm sorry." Martha's throat tightened. "Thank you." "For what it's worth," he continued, "I'm glad you're okay." She glanced at him, really looked at him. He seemed different, more confident. There was something in his bearing that hadn't been there before. "How are you?" she asked. "Good, really good, actually. My organization just got a grant to expand our work. We're opening 3 new community centers next quarter." "Austin, that's amazing. God's been faithful." He paused. "Even when I doubted, even when doors closed, he was working." Martha understood what he wasn't saying. She'd been a closed door. "Austin, She stopped, unsure how to put it into words. "I was wrong about everything. You were right there, and I was too proud and too blind to see what God was trying to give me." He was quiet for a long moment. "We all have lessons to learn, Martha. God used that season to teach me too, about my worth, my calling, about not basing my value on someone else's acceptance. You deserved better than how I treated you." "Maybe," he smiled gently, "but I forgive you anyway." The words cracked something open in Martha's chest. Tears spilled over before she could stop them. "Hey," Austin said softly. "It's okay. It's not. I threw away something precious because I thought I knew better than God." Austin handed her a towel to dry her hands, then did something unexpected. He took her hands in his. "Martha, look at me." She did. "God's not done with your story. He wasn't done with mine, and he's not done with yours. You made mistakes, so did I, but that's what grace is for. I don't deserve grace. None of us do. That's why it's called grace." They stood there, hands clasped, years of what could have been hanging between them. "Austin," Martha said finally. "Yeah? Is there someone in your life?" He studied her face. "Are you asking for a friend, or are you asking for you? For me?" A slow smile spread across his face. "There's not." Would you maybe want to get coffee sometime? Just coffee, just to talk?" Austin squeezed her hands gently, then let go. "I'd like that." 1 year later. Martha stood at the front of the church, but not on the stage. She stood at the altar, wearing white, holding a bouquet of wildflowers. Austin stood across from her in a simple gray suit, eyes bright with joy. Pastor Williams beamed at them both. "Dearly beloved." As they exchanged vows, Martha's eyes drifted to the congregation. Her mother was crying, Keisha was grinning, even Sister Ruth had made it, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Austin's voice brought her back. "I promise to honor you, cherish you, and seek God's will with you. Always." Martha's throat tightened. "I promise to follow where God leads, even when I don't understand, to trust his timing, and to never, ever let pride blind me again." It wasn't in the traditional vows, but Austin's eyes told her he understood. When Pastor Williams pronounced them husband and wife, the church erupted. And as Austin kissed her, gentle, reverent, full of promise, Martha felt something she'd been chasing for years finally settle in her chest. Peace. 6 months after the wedding, Martha sat in the audience at a regional conference, watching her husband on stage. Austin stood before thousands, sharing his testimony, his vision for community transformation. His voice carried authority and compassion. The crowd was captivated. Afterward, people swarmed him. Leaders asked for his contact information. Organizations wanted partnerships. Martha watched from a distance, heart full. She thought about the girl she used to be, the one who measured worth by appearance, who mistook packaging for substance. She almost missed this, almost threw away God's best because she was chasing good. "Mrs. Martha!" A young woman approached, eyes bright. "I just wanted to thank you for your testimony at our women's conference last month. It changed my life." Martha smiled. "Which part?" "The part where you said pride cost you years, but humility gave you a lifetime." Martha's eyes misted. "God is faithful, even when we're faithless." "He really is," the young woman agreed, then leaned in. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Do you ever regret the time you lost? The years you could have had with him?" Martha looked across the room at Austin, now praying with someone who had approached him for counsel. "I used to," she said honestly. "But then I realized God doesn't waste anything, not even our mistakes. He used those years to shape both of us into people who could build something lasting." She turned back to the young woman. "So, no, I don't regret the journey because it led me here.